Due to being in contact with someone who tested positive for COVID, I was quarantined at my house for 2 weeks. As we all know from being in lockdown at the beginning of the pandemic, being at home without being able to see your friends, teachers, and etc. is hard. It was especially hard for me this time because others were still able to go to school and participate in some extracurriculars while I couldn't. A few days ago, a friend of mine came by my house and dropped off some painting supplies and chocolate. It really brightened my day just to know that someone was thinking of me, and the gift was just another bonus to that amazing feeling. Recently, I've been going through a breakup, and it has been really hard for me. I've been feeling really down and just nothing like my regular self. The stress from school as well as from the breakup has made it really challenging. It has been 3 months and I'm still really struggling. I think that's because I've kept it bottled up and private. I've put on an act so that I don't seem weak, and that has really affected my mental health in a negative way. One day I was feeling really down on myself and I went to class. Someone said that my hair looked really nice, and even though I'd never really talked to that person, that one little compliment made me feel so much better about myself, and it put me in a much better mood. Being excluded from my school friends after having close relationships with all of them made me feel very alone. It was especially difficult when I was being picked on and I didn't even know why. My closest friends didn't seem to care even after I asked them for help. This made me feel very sad. When people didn't notice and even chose not to notice, it was devastating and greatly impacted my self-image and self-worth. Fortunately, I had support from my family who spoke up on my behalf. This made me feel cared about, and I was able to gain strength and move on past these people. Nevertheless, when thinking back, it is still hurtful, and I don't wish it on anybody. I think many teenage girls can relate to this, but through high school, I've always been very aware of how I looked to other people, and my self-esteem was definitely low. Especially in the first 2 years of high school, I always felt awkward. I felt like I didn't wear the right clothes, and being taller than most people in my grade didn't make me feel any better. Now, in grade 12, I would say that I feel much more like myself, and my self-esteem has grown. One thing that has definitely helped me along the way was my friends. They are some of the best people I know, and I think getting closer to them has helped me realize that everyone is unique and different in a great way. They helped me realize that literally everyone is insecure, especially during these years of our lives. Many of them have felt similarly to me as well. I'm not saying I'm perfect now, because I definitely am not, but thanks to those people who opened up to me and shared things about themselves, I've definitely improved my confidence. The kindness from my friends has always made me feel welcome and safe, and for that, I am very grateful. It all started when I was in grade 8, a new world that I didn't know. Grade 8 was hard for me, with having to find more friends and learn new names and new faces. I was doing okay, but not my normal 100%. Every day felt like a drag and I had no motivation. I was also getting into lots of typical teen drama. Near the end of the year, I was in a hole that I had dug deep by myself. I would come home from school crying every day, begging my parents not to send me the next day. The reason is that all the boys were being absolutely abhorrent. Every time they would see me in the halls walking, they would say something so mean that it caused me to have an awful day. I kept asking myself, why me? One day, I finally had enough and I told one of my friends. She didn't understand why it was happening to me, but she did try to help. Later that night, I was trying to go to bed and I couldn't. There were just too many emotions. I must have been crying too loud because my sister came into my room. I told her everything. It felt like there was a wall being broken down in my mind. She helped me a lot that night and even got some of the grade 12s to make the boys apologize. If it weren't for her and her friends, I wouldn't be who I am today. Ever since then, I felt much better and most importantly, much happier. About a year ago, I was struggling to maintain motivation and positive mental health. I suddenly lost interest in participating in activities that I once loved, such as playing sports, going out with friends, and spending time with family. My grades began to slip as I slowly began to care less and less about school. I started to become a rather pessimistic person, and my mental health changed dramatically due to a variety of events occurring in my life at that point in time. I was too scared to ask for help, which left me feeling alone and isolated from everybody in my life. Fortunately, after some time, my family noticed that something was off and that I wasn't acting like my usual self. They provided me with help I was in need of, while most of my friends also offered me their love and support. Although, arguably, the biggest event that impacted me during this difficult time was the words of one of my favorite teachers, who was considerably the most generous and wisest person I have ever met. My teacher explained that I was one of their most kind-hearted and respectful students, and that with more effort, they believed I had a beyond imaginable amount of potential. From this single conversation and the help from my loved ones, I have now become the inspired, smart, happy, ambitious, and successful young student I am today. During my high school years, I've struggled a lot. I felt selfish, undeserving, depressed, anxious, annoying, unreliable, and so many other things. I also felt a lot of guilt. I have an awesome family, quite a lot of friends and passions. I have so much, and sometimes I still feel miserable. How can I feel so miserable when people all over the world suffer much more than I? When I look at my mother's life and what she's been through, I often feel out of place, feeling the way I do. I always try to be the best daughter, the best friend possible, and the best student. I always listen to my friends' problems and help them handle the situations. But I struggle to tell others how I feel because I don't want to drain their energy. Then, I met my boyfriend. For the first time, I actually wanted to talk to someone about how I felt and how I was doing. The simple good mornings, how was your day, and how are you doing, have helped me a lot. It seems so simple, and yet no one ever really asked me before. I still have a lot to deal with, but every time I'm with him, my heart feels lighter. His actions actually made me realize that I didn't ask my family how they are doing. Now, I still have work to do, but I feel like I'm building stronger relationships, and these relationships motivate me to continue working hard at school. Grade 9 was leading up to be such an all-round great school year until May, when I came out with a major concussion. Due to my injury, I didn't attend school much and spent all of my days at home having little to no contact with my friends. I began to develop this crazy idea in my head that they didn't notice I was gone and were having more fun without me. I convinced myself that I wasn't a part of their friend group anymore and mentally distanced myself from them. I stopped replying on the group chats and started making up excuses as to why I couldn't hang out with them anymore. I believed that I wasn't an important member of the friend group. On the days I did go to school, I would scarcely talk to them because I felt that they didn't really like me and had no interest in hearing what I had to say. At the time, after my concussion, I believed no one really was trying to reach out and that they were pulling away from me. But in reality, they were reaching out and I was the one pulling away. I was so caught up in my own head that when they did reach out to me, I just convinced myself that it didn't mean anything. Once they really realized that I had not only mentally pulled away, but also physically pulled away, they really stopped talking to me, and I lost most of my friends that I had known since kindergarten. It wasn't until March the next year when my parents noticed my degrading mental health and decided to get me a therapist. The therapy helped me get out of my head and regain my confidence. But the thing that helped me the most was when 2 of my friends brought me a little ring. They had biked to my place specifically to give it to me. This small act really helped me see that they did in fact care for me and valued my presence. It showed me that even though I was not with them physically, they were still thinking of me. I still wear this ring, and I always think about that feeling I had when they gave it to me.